I want to go to the Pulitzer Prize-winning author. You know him just as a great, thinker. Michael Goodwin joins us right now, New York Post columnist, Fox News contributor. Michael, it's interesting, and maybe because I live in New Jersey and I'm looking at polls that once had Governor Phil Murphy had 26 points back in the summer. It's down to a 5-point race now. I think that's been a forgotten contest, but something's going on. What do you make of it?
Well, thank you, Neil. Look, I do believe that Joe Biden is weighing heavily on these elections, and his polls, we've seen a lot of national polls that have him down 9 or 10 points underwater, meaning 10 points more unfavorable than favorable on his job performance. And I suspect that if you get into some of these more swing states, such as Virginia, not necessarily New Jersey, but certainly Virginia, Biden's approval is probably even lower there. In New Jersey, it strikes me as you say, quite a surprise that it's even that close. But it could be another carryover from Biden. And I also think that there are these, of course, local issues that got sort of derivatives of the national agenda. And in Virginia, certainly it is the school choice issue, the parents feeling as they're being shut out, and then of course Terry McAuliffe's colossal mistake to say that parents shouldn't tell teachers what to teach, I think just alarmed a lot of parents everywhere, and it was a gift to Youngkin. I was surprised too that Barack Obama came in over the weekend, and he sort of dug the same hole, which I thought he was better than that, but when he said this was all trumped up stuff, meanwhile you have now what seems to be certain, a rape by a young woman in a school by a transgender student. That's the allegation, and the school board knowingly covered it up from the parents. So there's a lot of things in the wind there that I think are coalescing around this idea of taking back the power, that the government has too much power. And when you line that up against the overall Biden agenda, which would give the government more power, much more power over the economy and private businesses and schools and mandates. And so I think this is something of a test of whether the Democrats have gone too far in taking away all the power from local communities and states.
I'm wondering as well that the strategy both Democratic candidates are using in Virginia and certainly in New Jersey to link their opponents to Donald Trump, because he's a more controversial figure, right, maybe trying to take a page from Gavin Newsom to make that contest about Donald Trump.
Right.
What do you think of that strategy they're using now? Because that has certainly come to focus in just the last week.
Well, look, I think they will keep using it as long as it works. And I think it did have an impact in California. But certainly Virginia is not California, and neither is New Jersey. But I do think that Trump is a sword that cuts both ways. And right now, if you look at the election, as you said earlier, Joe Biden won Virginia by 10 points. So you would then bring in Joe Biden to campaign and call Glenn Youngkin a Trump mini-me, and so then you would hope to win the election on all that and to overcome all of the other issues that are roiling the race. So if it works, they will keep using it, and that's often one of the main takeaways from these elections that sort of set the stage for what will be the issues that the candidates run on in the midterms will largely be determined by these early races.
Yeah, they do bear watching, but I'm telling you, I could be on something. Actually, for COVID right now I am, but I'm telling you, watch New Jersey. Something is going on here. I'm telling you, it bears, much more reporting than I think it's getting. But Michael, thank you very, very much. Michael Goodwin, the New York Post columnist extraordinaire.